Hi everyone, it is Catherine. Welcome back to my channel. Today is an interesting video. I had planned this week to have my March 2021 Plan With Me video up. It is the first Plan With Me video that I have ever filmed, and it's taking a lot longer to edit than I had planned. I knew making YouTube videos was a lot of work, but I honestly had not anticipated all of the bumps in the road that making this type of video has thrown at me. I am working with an 8-year-old computer whose storage was pretty much the smallest amount that I could get at the time, and it's just been a process. Thankfully, I've been able to borrow my brother's computer for making these videos, and he has a lot more storage because he's a computer guy, and so when he bought his computer, he actually made sure to have enough. So I've been able to do that, but again, it's just taking longer than expected because of a lot of issues with storage space and not having enough storage space, and the fact that just the raw footage takes up a lot of space, and therefore it takes a lot of time to move it from one place to another. So that will be out next week. I'm almost done with it, so it'll be out next week. I thought this week, instead of not posting anything, I would just do a quick sort of impromptu tour of my March bullet journal spread. So it's quick, it's spur of the moment. It was going to be live, but there were also some problems with that. So you're getting my unscripted one-take video, and we're just going to go through my March spread. And next week I will have the video out showing you how I actually made this spread, or this setup, I should say. So let's get into it. I am using a notebook from Notebook Therapy this year, and this one is you know what? I don't remember what this one's called, but I just loved the linen cover. I absolutely love the way the linen covers on these journals feel, and I loved the foil, the sort of silver foil. I don't know if you can see that, the way it catches the light. I just love this journal so much. It's so pretty. Yep, so it's from Notebook Therapy. I will link Notebook Therapy down below. I don't know if this journal specifically is still available, but if it is, I will link it specifically. If not, you can go to their website and just see what they have. They've got some really cool stuff. And none of the products in the links in my descriptions are sponsored, at least as of right now, because I don't have sponsors right now. So I will let you know if that ever changes, but for now, these are just things that I use and love and that work really well for me. So also forgive any sort of adjustments or anything being out of frame. I'm working on this. It's difficult to tell how well everything's lined up. So let's see how this goes. All right, so here is my March cover. I really had fun making this. It's so warm and cozy, and I just love the sort of cozy library vibes that I get from it. The yellow turned out to be a little bit more yellow than I had originally intended. I'm still very new to using watercolor in my journals, so this was an interesting experience. But I'm really, really happy with the way this kind of has that golden sunset, sun-filled end of the day glow, which to me just screams warm and cozy. And March in Maine is pretty yucky outside still. It's getting warmer, but there's still a ton of snow on the ground. There'll be mud on the ground when the snow leaves. It's just not the most pleasant of months. And so for me, when I think of March, I still think cozy. In some ways, I think I think of cozy more in March than I think of it in the deep, dark depths of winter. Because, you know, we know that's cold, but March just kind of gives you that, like, oh, it's going to be better. And then, no, it's not. So I really love just feeling nice and cozy and snug in March in a way that is different from other colder months of the year. I also wanted to do a bit of a library theme because my mom and I have been redoing a room in our house to make it sort of into a library. And so there's just been a lot of cozy library vibes going on in my house this year. So here is this. I also used the stickers from Planning with Kay. I used her Plants and Pages theme, her monthly kit, as well as some stickers from her add-on sheet and a couple of the decorative sheets. I'll link those all in the description as well. So yeah, this was a lot of fun. I have on the right-hand side, no, left-hand side. I always get that mixed up. On the left-hand side, I have a quote page with shelves of books and plants and some teacups, just for some cuteness. And up top, there are some sort of hanging potted plants. Again, all of the books and plants are stickers, as are the teapots and teacups and all that you'll see throughout this spread. And I have a quote by Isabel Allende. I believe I pronounced her name correctly. If I didn't, please tell me. And I just love this quote. It is so much fun and a really cool thing to think about. And it is, see if I can read it here. The library is inhabited by spirits that come out of the pages at night. Isn't that just a really cool idea? You know, imagine going into a library and the spirits of beloved characters come out of the books, or the adventures you could have with those characters, or the adventures you could have with your favorite character from your favorite book, battling the bad guys from those same books. I just love the idea. I loved the movies, the Night at the Museum movies, and just think of putting that into a library. That would be so much fun. On the right hand side is the March title page with March just written in a simple just a simple font on top. I have no idea where this font comes from. It might have come out of my own head. It might just be something, I just tried to write it neatly. I really don't tend to look for fonts. I just write, so here it is. And then I made sort of a library desk or counter kind of idea on the bottom half of the page with some teapots and a teacup, cute little potted plant, and a stack of books. Again, just kind of going for that cozy library theme. And I just love the golden, warm, cozy feel this has. So flipping over, we come to the March calendar. And this is fun. I really enjoy making big calendars. With quarantine and everything, I really don't have much use for a big calendar this year. But I really enjoy making them. I think they're just fun. And that's part of the point. That's part of why I started bullet journaling, was just to enjoy doing it. So a March calendar, it's nice and big, takes up most of the page. At the top, I have March, and I kept these really cute, not cute, wow. I kept this sort of streaky, I almost want to say highlight. I just colored over the March title with a tan Tombow brush pen. And I just like the color. I like the way it, again, kind of gives me papery, crafty, library type vibes without being over the top. And then the stickers can really take center stage. So I have books and teacups and teapots and potted plants all surrounding the calendars. Over on the right here, we have a task list, which I have not included, but I really found in February that I was regretting not having a task list. So I added them all over the place this year, or this month. So we'll see how that goes. I also decided, since I am starting to get into YouTube again, to try and put a little YouTube tracker here. I don't know if I'll keep this in the monthly setup when I move into my new journal, which will probably be at the end of June. I don't know if I'll keep this here or if I will just create sort of a master spread at the beginning of the journal to keep track of all of that there. For right now, it's going on the monthly calendar simply because I have nowhere else to put it, but that might change. Moving on, we have the habit and mood trackers. These are really fun to create. I really enjoyed it. In the actual setup video that will come out next week, I don't have the habits listed. At the time that I made that, I hadn't decided which ones I wanted to add, what I wanted to carry through from last month, or if I wanted to add anything new. So these don't actually show up in the monthly setup, but they're here now because I finally figured out what I wanted to do. So I used the sticker from the monthly add-on sheet from Planning with Kay and just cut it. And so that's my monthly there. I haven't decided yet, and I might do this. I may go ahead and outline each of the squares. So like make the grid, make it more of a graph, just so that I can see which square I'm filling in. I've done calendar trackers and I've done sort of number line trackers like this before, and I think the types of trackers I tend to prefer are calendars, mostly because the boxes are a lot easier to see and to fill in. So I may create that grid soon. I may not. I'm not really sure. It's going to depend on how annoyed I get with coloring in the squares and coordinating with the numbers. So we'll see how that goes. I'm also not sure, at the time I made this, I didn't know quite what I was doing, or I didn't realize as I made it that I have 3 sections here. So I have the habit tracker, that's easy enough. And then I had planned for the mood tracker portion to be directly under the habit tracker, but then later I thought the spread looked a little empty. So I added this bottom shelf here. So now I'm not sure if I'm going to put the mood tracker down here in this bottom section next to the mood title, which would make sense, or if I'll leave it up here so it's easier to follow the numbers. I'm not really sure what I'll do, and I'm not sure what I'll do with that extra shelf, because at the time I hadn't realized that I had an extra shelf. Because that's just how I roll, apparently. So we'll see what I'll end up doing. If I decide what to do with it, I will take a picture and probably post it on my Instagram. So if you would like to follow me over there to see a little bit more of how this whole situation turns out, that would be awesome. I will leave my username in the description box below, so you can kind of see what I end up doing, because I'm not sure yet. Then this is a spread that I am really proud of. This is my meal plan spread. I've been including these in my journal this year because it's a lot easier. I was finding my family and I were ending up eating a lot of takeout or just kind of finding whatever we could find, and it was really hard to have, you know, healthy meals or at least healthy suppers when we just weren't planning. So I've started making meal plan trackers, and they've evolved, definitely. This is my third one, and this spread, I think so far, is my favorite meal tracker. I have a Dutch door, and it's my first, like, major Dutch door. You'll see another one shortly that is also a Dutch door that is nice, but this is like my first real, I feel like this is my first real serious Dutch door, you know? So on the left-hand side, I have the meal plan title, again, with that sort of scribbly light brown tombow. And then I took a dark brown tombow and just made bookshelves. And I have plants and books and teapots, lots of teacups, because you can't have a teapot without lots of teacups, more books. And I love this decorative side here. It's so much fun, and it kind of reminds me of my kitchen, which has all of these random things in it that are really cute. And then in the Dutch, like in the center here, I have each week. So there are full 4 weeks in March. There are 4 weeks that that will be included in my weekly spreads because of the way that I choose to organize my journal. So I have weeks 1 through 4 in the middle with this Dutch door, and Monday through Sunday written down. As you may or may not have noticed in the calendar spread, I have my weeks set up to start on Mondays. It's just a lot easier. It makes a lot more sense in my own brain to do that. So I have that, all 4 weeks. And then on this side, on the right-hand side, I have a shopping list, which I did not include last month, and I really missed it. I don't need to use it all the time. My family has sort of like a master shopping list that we all have access to through iCloud, and that's fantastic, but it really helps me to organize my thoughts and to sort of figure out what I actually need to add to that list if I can go through and just list the ingredients for whatever meals we're going to have throughout the week that I don't already have. And that way I know. So I'm really glad that I have this shopping list. And we'll see once I actually start using this spread how it turns out, if I still like it. But just from an aesthetic point of view, I love this spread, and I'm really, really proud of this one. This was fun. Moving on, we have a section for ideas. It's kind of like a brain dump page. I've split these up before into different categories, but I end up feeling very squished when I do that because inevitably I have more ideas for one category than another. Some categories don't get used at all. Some categories get used very heavily and get really cramped. So I've just started leaving it wide open. This also, you know, if I feel like I need to write a little more extensively about a particular idea, this is a good place for me to do that. And I just don't care for the title, brain dump. I don't know what it is. I don't know. I just don't like the way it sounds. So it's not a title that I tend to use. I'd rather use ideas or thoughts or something along those lines. So for right now, ideas. Again, just scribbled over with that light brown Tombow. And I took the dark brown Tombow and made a shelf for some teacups and a coffee pot that is mostly full of coffee, because anyone who knows me knows that I am not allowed to drink a whole lot of coffee. I get very, very hyper when I drink coffee, and most of my friends do not enjoy having me around when I've just had lots of coffee. So this is mostly full. And then on the bottom, I also have a dark brown shelf with plants on the ideas spread, and then next to it I have books and another little plant, just because. And the right-hand page is my playlist. Now, it looks empty right now, and that's because it is. I don't fill my playlist at the beginning of the month. I would prefer my playlist to reflect what I have been listening to and watching and enjoying throughout the month. So this would truly be a March playlist. This will include any audiobooks I'm listening to, any music I'm particularly enjoying, TV shows, movies that I'm really into, or, you know, if they're like sort of the live competition type shows, that, you know, any of those that happen to be airing right now. So this is a true playlist for March, not made up ahead of time to fill it in, but to actually reflect what I'm interested in and what kind of media I'm enjoying in a given month. So this will get filled out as we go. And again, I've tried it before where I've divided the spread into sections for podcasts and movies and TV, books, music, and I really don't enjoy doing that, because I had the same problem as I've had with the ideas spread, that dividing it up into sections inevitably means some sections are practically empty and other sections get really full really fast and just start to feel really cramped. So again, I would rather just leave the spread wide open so that I can list everything. And then next to it, if it's a book, I'll put an author. If it's a podcast, I'll just put next to it podcast or movie or anything of that sort. And I just find that easier. And it feels a lot more comfortable for me to do it that way, because I just don't like that cramped feeling that I get when I have sections and then have one section that I use a lot more than another section. Moving on, we have my daily summary, and this is another Dutch door. This is the second Dutch door in this setup, and I like this one a lot too. It's really fun. I still need to get better at cutting my horizontal Dutch doors. I don't know why the vertical one was so much easier than the horizontal one to cut, but for whatever reason, it is. So this one is also a lot of fun. So in the title, we have daily summary, and again, it's scribbled over with that light brown Tombow. Let's pretend that I actually know how to spell summary. I did catch myself this time. In my previous month, in February, I only wrote the one M and did not catch it until long after the spread was complete, so I just left it. But in this one, I caught myself as I started to write the A. I realized I hadn't written the second M, and so I just kind of wrote over it. I just left the mistake. It wasn't worth it to me to try and figure out a way to cover it up or fix it. I really didn't feel like it. So it's there. We're pretending that I know how to spell. I think the problem is M's, and to a certain extent N's also, have so many like curves in them that by the time I finish writing one, I feel like I've already written two of them, and I forget that I haven't. So whenever there are two M's in a row, I have trouble remembering that I haven't actually written both of them yet. which if I were doing this in pencil wouldn't have been a problem, but I did it in marker. Go me! I really like having the light brown and having every other line colored in, and so that way it just helps me to write in a straight line, because then I can just follow the color or the white depending on which section I'm on. I haven't figured out a surefire way that I really enjoy doing this yet. I don't know. It works okay if I'm really careful. It works okay to just take the pen or the highlighter, well, in this case the brush pen, or the chisel nib on a highlighter, and follow the dots really carefully. But I do kind of get these odd wavy lines, and there are definitely spreads in previous setups where my lines definitely went crooked and I hadn't realized it. So on the one hand, I like doing it this way. On the other hand, it's not my favorite way to do it. I just haven't figured out a really solid way to get straight but colored in alternating lines yet. So we'll see. But anyway, this is a Dutch door because I like to give myself plenty of room to write. One line for a day just doesn't... I usually have a little bit more to say than that. So I give myself 4 lines for each day, and that gives me plenty of room to write about what happened that day, if there's something that I'm feeling, or, you know, I have a reaction that I want to write down, that's available. But also, you know, if there's a lot that happens in a day, I can also write that down. At the bottom, I had a little bit of extra room, and you can see I'm pretty sure I started to go a little crooked here, so I'm glad this was the last one. I have a cute little potted plant, and then I have a quote by Bill Patterson, which is, "Rainy days should be spent at home with a cup of tea and a good book." And I agree. Rainy days, snowy days, any of those sort of just gray, icky days really should be spent with a cup of tea and a good book if you can, because that's just nice. And it's something that everyone in my family really enjoys. And then again, at the top, we've got that nice dark brown bookshelf and books and plants, and again, a nice teapot, some teacups. And then we come into the weekly spreads. Now, in the Plan With Me video, I really only show this first spread. I lost some footage of the other weeklies. Didn't realize that filming took quite as much battery, and I am filming from my phone, and my phone died. So I did lose some of that footage, so I thought it would be better just to show the one weekly. And also, the other weeklies are very similar to this one. They vary a little bit in style in terms of like the daily sections on the left, but really the overall idea is the same for each one. And also, that video was getting very long, so I figured if I could cut out all the other weeklies, that would just save some time. And again, I lost some footage anyway, so I figured really you get the idea with just the one. But I do like to create all of my weeklies at the beginning of the month, because I just don't always have time to sit down and draw them every single week. And sometimes I do, and if I really feel like I want to draw and want to do something, I can go draw in my sketchbook, or I can paint, or I can do something else creative with that time. I really enjoy just having everything set up and ready to go, so I don't really have to think about it that much. So this month, again, I really wanted to make sure I included task lists. So I have my weekly sort of events section over on the left-hand side with a section for each day of the week. And I've used, again, those stickers. from Planning with Kay for all of this. On the left-hand side, I have incorporated the sort of rolling weekly idea. And I first heard about this concept from Elizabeth over at Plant-Based Bride, and I really liked the idea. So what it is, and I'll link her video explaining it in the description, because it's really interesting and I find really effective. You write the days of the week, or just a little, you know, one letter for each. So you have one square for each day of the week over on the left. And then there's a line dividing that section from your tasks section. So I will list all of the tasks I want to do this week, because especially for me, with the way my life is right now, I don't need to have a specific task done on a specific day most of the time. Most of my tasks can be done whenever that week. So I'll just write the tasks, and then on the right, or I always get that mixed up, on the left-hand side, I'll just put a little X in whichever day I complete that task. And I may change how I end up doing this, but I really do enjoy this style of tasks. And if there is a specific task that absolutely has to get done on a specific day, I'll put it over on its own specific day in the events section. But this way I don't have to keep writing tasks or moving them from one day to a next. And I also don't have to feel bad about myself for not getting all the tasks in the box done on that particular day, because I can just check off whichever day I worked on it or whichever day I actually completed it. And I don't need to worry about this sort of arbitrary deadline that I set for myself. So I'm going to show you all of the weeklies here. I'm just going to flip through. I'm not really going to talk about them. They're fairly self-explanatory. And again, they're basically the same. Just the layout for each day is slightly different on each one. And I can do another video another time showing specific layouts for weeklies if you all are interested. But I don't want this video to be super, super long. So here we go. And then we have my monthly review spread. This is something I just started doing in February. So we'll see how I actually like this, if I continue to use it or if I don't. I'm not really sure yet. So up at the top, I have a header that says monthly review. I will have some questions that I choose for myself to just kind of prompt me to think about how March went. I have yet to fill out my February one, so we'll see how this goes and if I actually like it. And this is the other way I've come up with to sort of do this alternating line color deal. I took my marker that I was going to be using, I took the bullet end. I was using the Tombow dual brush marker, so I took the bullet end and literally just like followed the dots for every single line all the way down the page. And then I actually colored in every other line. And this was easier. I definitely feel like these lines are straighter and a little more even than these lines. However, these lines on the daily summary spread are a lot lighter than the monthly review lines are. And I think I prefer writing on lighter lines, but it's just the nature of coloring in with a water-based marker as opposed to just making one swipe straight across. So I'm not really sure which way I'm going to go with this. Again, I like that it's more even and that I'm not worrying quite so much about keeping everything straight, because I've already made sure that my lines are straight as I trace the dots across. But it's really dark, and so I'm just not sure how I feel about that. We'll see. And then finally, I have one more quote page because I just really wanted to finish off with an even spread. I drew the window, not the exact window, but this whole drawing was inspired by the window and the bookshelf and the plant that we have in our new sort of freshly redone library room. So this was fun. I drew in pencil first and then outlined using the Tombow Fudenosuke. I think I pronounced that right. Maybe I didn't, I don't know. Anyway, I used the hard tip brush marker or brush pen to do the outlines. I really enjoy the sort of thick lines, but there's also some variability with the lines, and that's really fun for me. I did learn, I outlined the bookshelf first before I did anything else, and I definitely learned to make sure before you go and outline something in marker, make sure it's even on the bottom. As you can see, it is not. That's why the baseboard down here is like a normal thickness on one side and then really skinny on the other side. Because, yeah, whoops. And then I have one more quote. This one is from Umberto Eco, and it's just, I love the smell of book ink in the morning. And I really do love the smell. I love the smell of books. I love new books, old books. I love just to open them up, bury my face in them and inhale, and it just smells so good. So this was a really fun, cozy theme. I hope you enjoyed this tour. As I said, next week I will have the full plan with me up and ready to go, so you can actually see how I went about creating all of this. It just wasn't coming together this week, but I figured this was better than posting nothing. So enjoy. I hope you all have a fantastic day, and until next week, I will see ya. Bye.